What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me right here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about it. Justice League, the Snyder Cut, finally came out. And it was so good. It was so good. Now, part of me was asking myself, I was thinking to myself, do I think this is so good because I hated the first version so much, and now I've been part of the fan community who's been wanting this to come out for some time? Or is it really that good? And I'm happy to say that I really believe that it is actually legitimately that good. But let's rewind real fast before I really get into the movie. I want to talk about maybe a year and a half ago or so. I put out a video called Why the Fans Do Not Deserve the Snyder Cut. And my argument was that fans don't deserve the Snyder Cut because they're the reasons that Snyder got kicked out of the DC universe in the first place. Snyder did not get the kind of support for Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman that he's gotten for Justice League. And I remember watching Man of Steel, and I remember thinking, man, Man of Steel is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of comic book filmmaking. And I stand by that. I still think Man of Steel is brilliant. And then I remember watching Batman vs. Superman, and while I didn't like Batman vs. Superman quite as much as I liked Man of Steel, I still loved it. And the Ultimate Edition was just great. So I remember thinking, how are people going to not like this? Well, people didn't like it. It was very divisive. And then when Zack Snyder got taken off of Justice League, I couldn't help but blame the fans. I couldn't help but blame the fans because if the fans had actually supported Snyder's vision for the DC universe, then the Snyderverse would still be existing. I still blame the fans to this day. Because so many fans were butthurt that we were not getting a carbon copy of the Avengers, that we weren't getting a carbon copy of the MCU, that they turned that into some sort of spiteful, venomous fandom where they're just not going to like anything that the DCU does. And trust me, those people exist, and they exist in spades. All you got to do is, anytime a DC movie comes out, visit the comment sections in social media posts. They exist in spades. They've already decided they're not going to like these movies before they come out. And like I said, those people are there, and they're venomous, and they're out there. And what we got with Justice League was a group of people who we got Zack Snyder taken out of Justice League because a group of people complained so much about Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel that Warner Brothers got cowardice. They were cowards, and they backed out of Snyder's vision. And instead, we got this abortion of a film. It's an abortion of a film. Now, the first time I saw the Whedon cut, I convinced myself that I liked it. I did. And I think sometimes us fans can be guilty of that. We can want to like something so much that we don't really see its flaws. But since in the past almost 4 years since I've rewatched it, I got to the point where I didn't even like it at all. There was stuff in it that was good, but I come to find out that everything that's in it that was good was already part of the Zack Snyder cut. So yeah, I blame the fans. I blame the fans that the Snyder cut exists in the first place. And I stand by the fact that the fans don't deserve the Snyder cut. I'm including that. Even though I liked Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, I'm part of the fan community. And the fans were so toxic about it. Well, they should have given every Justice League member their own movie first. No, they don't have to follow that model. Just, I don't know. All right, so let's talk about the Snyder Cut. I loved it. I loved it. It was everything. When I was a kid, sitting in my parents' basement with piles of DC comics around me and just reading the DC comics over and over and over again, this is the movie I dreamed of. This is the movie I dreamed of. An epic, grand movie that was steeped in lore and history, that had a fun, exciting narrative, that had compelling bad guys, great special effects, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff happening as extras. You know, when I dream about those comic book movies when I was a kid, I always dreamed about like the scene where Martian Manhunter pops up at the end. That's the stuff I dreamed about when I was a kid. Like there's this universe is so rich with characters that we don't need everybody to be a part of the main storyline, but we can use the main storyline to introduce more people to make the world bigger and grander. I'm telling you, I dreamed about this stuff before Marvel was even a thing. Well, not Marvel. Before the MCU was even a thing. I dreamed about it. So, I loved it. I loved it. Let's talk about the things that I really loved, and then I'll talk about some things that I didn't like that much. Superman's return in this was perfect. Like in the Whedon cut, the Superman return was, it didn't really make sense. They didn't really explain how or why the Mother Box had the power to bring him back to life. We just had to accept that that was what was going to happen. And in this one, we had a lot of exposition and a lot of narration that explained why the Mother Box had that power and how they were going to go about doing it. It didn't feel disconnected from the rest of the movie. That Superman return sequence it felt very disconnected from the rest, almost like it belonged to a different movie. And that's not the case here. You know, this felt like it flowed very nice with the rest of the film. Superman's return was glorious. I loved when he's walking through the Kryptonian ship and we heard the Jor-El and Jonathan Kent voiceover. I got chills hearing that Superman Man of Steel theme. I got chills. It was a perfect moment, and it was basically this capstone to what I call the Man of Steel trilogy. You know, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Justice League. This was the caps. This Superman is now Superman. He might be wearing a black suit, and, you know, they didn't really give any context as to why he's wearing the black suit. You know, in the comics, it was a suit that was designed to help him heal faster, to help him regenerate faster. Whereas they don't really give any context to that in this version. I think they just did it as a bit of fan service. But at the same time, it was really cool to see him in that black suit. So seeing him there and seeing the end of the beginning of Superman's journey, that's essentially what this is. It's the end of the beginning of Superman's journey. He now is Superman. He still needs to get the suit back. I get that. Superman should not be staying in the black suit. But this is the end of the beginning of his journey. He is now Superman. Superman is born about the same time the Justice League is born, and I'm fine with that. In this universe, under the context of this story that Zack Snyder was telling, I'm perfectly fine with that. Man, that scene in Themyscira, whoo-wee. Essentially the same scene, but so much better done. You know, when Steppenwolf arrives, and he talks, I think he said something like, "I smell your fear," and Hippolyta says, "Amazon, show them your fear," and they yell, "We have no fear." Man, that's so great. And the whole fight scene, instead of being this quick little scene where Steppenwolf just dominates, it showed just how awesome and how tough and how ferocious the Amazons are. There were times where they were getting the better of Steppenwolf. There were times where they were stopping him, where they were slowing him down, where they at one time they even took him off his feet. The Amazons were tough. And the scene where they close the gate when Hippolyta is leaving and she's got the Mother Box and they close the gate in the temple. That scene is given a lot more weight and a lot more gravitas because you understand exactly what it means to close the gate on all those Amazons in there stopping Steppenwolf. It just was really the sacrifice that Hippolyta was willing to make to protect this mother box. It gave the importance of the mother box so much more weight. So yeah, that Themyscira scene was great. In the original one, it was a bit of an interesting diversion. In this one, it was great. Another scene that was great was also involving Wonder Woman was the terrorist incident where Wonder Woman goes in and stops the terrorist. So good, so much better, so much more context in it. So much you understand what the goals of the terrorists were a lot better, and Wonder Woman is just savage. She's in there savage, doing her thing. Like, you're gonna kill kids? Guess what? Your days on this earth are done. And I love it. That is the comic book version of Wonder Woman to me. And I don't know that Patty Jenkins would take that kind of route with the character, but Zack Snyder did, and I loved it. I mean, this is the Wonder Woman that that tells Kal-El in the comics, there's a reason why my rogues gallery isn't as big as yours, Cal. There's a reason for that. Because when I handle it, I handle it. And that was the Wonder Woman we got in this movie. And I love it. I love it so much. The Flash. Wow. This was a totally different Flash. The Flash in the Whedon cut, it was a joke. He was a joke. He was the butt of all the jokes in the movie. He was not heroic. He was not somebody who was given a hero's journey. He was given everything that happens in this movie that could potentially be heroic for Flash, we're going to undermine it. Like, when they're in the first battle with Steppenwolf, guys, I've never done battle. All I've done is push people and run away. No, we didn't get that Flash here. We got the Flash here who, there's a scene in the original trailer for Justice League where you see him fighting a parademon and he zips, and then he goes behind it and he takes it out. When I saw that scene in this movie in context, I was like, whoa! Because it was so good. And Flash is actually given stuff to do in this version. At the end, in the final battle, the Flash is given something major to do. He's not given a family to rescue, right? He's not given a family to rescue where he pushes a truck and then Superman undermines him in 30 seconds later, Superman undermines him by saving hundreds of people. We don't get that. We get the Flash who actually saves the day. They would not have been victorious without the efforts of the Flash. And that's despite a lucky shot, the luckiest shot ever from a parademon. Flash is still able to save the day. I love the sequence where he comes back and he basically reverses time. It was this true moment of heroism on the side of Barry Allen, and it was great. It was great to see that moment of heroism that he saved the day, and it wasn't like Superman flying back, putting all the events in reverse. It was literally the Flash running up to that moment where he had to be there, and just kind of reversing everything into that moment that he had to be there. It was really, really cool visuals and good storytelling. The end battle was so much better, and Superman just showing up, I'm not impressed. So cool, so cool. I mean, this is the Superman we've been wanting. Aquaman, I didn't see a lot of differences in Aquaman. I mean, obviously there was a lot more build up with his character before he fought Steppenwolf the first time in Atlantis. Especially with Vulko. We got a couple scenes with Vulko in this, and we got a couple scenes with Mera in this. So there was a lot more context to the Aquaman character, but there was not much more in the film that really changed his story or changed how you viewed his story. It just made more sense. The story made more sense because we now understood his journey. Like I said, it was still the same journey. It was just the holes were filled in. So, and the character was essentially the same character. Batman, so much better in this. Gone was the, I don't not like you. Gone was the, Superman. Gone was the, oh, something's definitely bleeding. Gone was all the stupid, stupid stuff that Whedon did, proving that Whedon does not understand Batman. There's no way anybody can tell me Joss Whedon understands Batman. There's no way. It's not possible. It's not possible to make that argument now. Let's talk. Before we go to Joss Whedon, let's talk about Cyborg real fast. Cyborg was, in a lot of ways, the heart of this movie. I think you could make the argument Superman was the heart of this movie. I don't know. Cyborg might have been the heart of the movie. Superman might have been the soul of the movie. That might be a better way to describe it. But Superman is a presence that's felt throughout this whole movie, while Cyborg is a presence in the whole movie, and he's an important presence in the movie, and we got his entire backstory, we got his relationship between his father, we got understanding on who Victor Stone is and why he is, and there was so much more context and so much more backstory to the Victor Stone character that we understood where he was at the beginning of the movie and where he ended at the end. And out of all the characters, he had one of the greatest character arcs. Out of all the characters in the league, he had one of the greatest character arcs because he ends the movie in a significantly different place than he begins it. And because of that, because he has one of the greatest character arcs in the film, you can definitely make the argument that in a lot of ways, he's the backbone of the movie. And I think that there's definitely some truth to the people who say that he is the heart of the film, because that's felt. That is felt in this movie. And Ray Fisher, although I think that he's, he's made accusations against Warner Brothers, and we don't know if those accusations are true or if they're false. There's no way of us possibly knowing. We know the third party investigated them, and there was some reparations that were taken against some people at Warner Brothers, and then the third party basically said that things are satisfied now. Meanwhile, Ray Fisher is still running his mouth. So we don't know what really happened, but this is not how it's not how you keep a job. Now, if something bad really happened, if he really was discriminated against or treated in a racist manner, then yeah, speak up. Speak up. If you weren't, then I don't know what you're doing. And it's possible that he's looking for some drama. I don't know. All I know is he's not going to play Cyborg anymore. All I know that he's blaming Walter Hamada on stuff that Walter Hamada wasn't even there when that stuff went down. And I know that for a fact. Walter Hamada wasn't even there. So it's all real weird. The whole backstory, or the whole background stuff with Ray Fisher and what he says was happening at WB, it's all real weird to me. It's all real strange. And honestly, there's fishy things coming out of both sides. Some of the stuff Ray Fisher is saying is a little fishy. Some of the stuff WB is saying is a little fishy. And I'm just kind of choosing to not care about any of it. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, if they bring back Cyborg, great. If they don't, okay. I'm just make more movies. That's kind of where I'm at on it. It just feels to me like there's a lot of pettiness going on. Now, it's very possible there's going to be people responding to this video saying, LQ, you, how dare you speak out against Ray Fisher? Well, first of all, I'm not speaking out against Ray Fisher. I said, if there's anything racist happening, then he should speak out. And, secondly, if you come back at me and say, how dare you speak out against Ray Fisher? Well, you don't know what happened either. You don't. You don't. And that's all I'm saying, is that we don't know what happened. And we'll probably never know the full truth. But that being said, Ray Fisher did a great job portraying Cyborg here. And he was the heart of this film. So let's move on to Joss Whedon. As I've said, I have spent the last couple years hating the Whedon cut. I've never once blamed Joss Whedon, however, for what happened. I've never once said, Joss Whedon really set out to make a bad movie here. The Marvel boy Joss Whedon, he set out to sabotage DC. I never said that. I might be saying it now though. I've always given Joss Whedon the benefit of the doubt. Like, dude got hired to remake to recut a 4-hour movie into a movie that came in under 2 hours. And he had to recut it, and then he had to do the reshoots to make it all make sense. And at that point, I was always like, he had a hard job to do, and he probably did the best job he could. I'm not really thinking that anymore. I'm thinking maybe Joss Whedon did set out to sabotage things, to sabotage the DCU. And I hate stupid conspiracy theories like this, where fans are like, the DC versus Marvel thing. That's not me. But I'm just looking at this and I'm like, how did he think that was better? How did he think that the scene that he put in was better than what was originally filmed? Either he set out to mess things up on purpose, or he has no taste at all. And he has no grasp of these characters at all. It's one or the other. Either he set out purposefully to make a bad movie, or he sucks. There's no in between. He either did it purposefully or he sucks. And Avengers was a lucky stab in the dark. And let's be clear, Age of Ultron kind of sucked too. Let's be clear. I'm not really an Age of Ultron fan. I don't think it's a very good movie. The first Avengers was a pretty good movie. It was pretty good. I put it up there as one of the top 10 comic book movies ever made. But I'm like, either he intentionally did things badly in Justice League, or he got lucky with Avengers and he sucks. I kind of think it's over here. And it's possible that he got lucky with Avengers because of all the guidance he had from Kevin Feige. I know Joss Whedon has done stuff before, and I know that a lot of the stuff he's done before has been popular in the fan community. I haven't liked anything he's done before. So, yeah, I'm blaming Joss Whedon now. I'm saying, dude, you suck. You're not a good filmmaker. If you think for a second that what we got in your cut of the movie was better than this cut, you suck. You're not a good filmmaker. Alright guys, I give Justice League the Snyder Cut an A. It was very good, a lot of fun. Now, it's not a perfect movie. It's not an A+. It's not an A+. The movie was a little long. It was a little long. Now, I get it. This was Zack Snyder's chance to put everything in it that he wanted to put in it. I get that. It was a little long. And I can see a lot of places where they could have cut scenes. I mean, the whole Flash saving Iris scene, that whole scene rightfully should have been cut. It had no bearing on the movie as a whole. Some of the dialogue could have been cut out, and a lot of the extra stuff in it, the Martian Manhunter sequences, they could have been cut out. I get him wanting to put them in, and I actually applaud him for putting them in. You have a median on streaming where you can be indulgent. But if this were released in theaters, I don't see any way that this version of the movie gets released in theaters. Stuff would have to be cut out. I think that they would have to cut out a good 45 minutes of this movie. And quite frankly, Zack Snyder could have probably easily cut out 45 minutes of this movie. Probably easily. Almost all the epilogue could have been cut out. Let's be real. Almost all the epilogue could have been cut out. The whole nightmare sequence there at the end with the Joker, it was kind of cool. I'll say it was kind of cool. I liked seeing Leto's Joker get some redemption, and he does. This is a cool version of the character. I liked seeing the banter between him and Batman. I love seeing Batman teamed up with Mara and Deathstroke and Cyborg. The whole sequence was great. But it didn't have to be there. It didn't have to be there at all. It had no bearing on the story. So it could have been cut. The epilogue was 19 minutes. And really the only scene that I would have included in it would have been the Lex Luthor sequence. Everything else could have been cut. So out of that 19 minutes, you're talking 12, 13 minutes of it could have easily been dropped. So that's what I'm talking about when I say that it was too long and it was overindulgent. I applaud them for releasing the version that they did. I do. Because it was released on HBO Max. But if it was released in theaters, it would have to have some stuff cut out. And that's really my only problem with the film. All the extra stuff they put in caused some pacing issues, but I had such a goofy smile on my face the whole time that those pacing issues really didn't matter, because it was so much fun. So, like I said, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I give it an A. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. While you're down there commenting, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you later.